The program today is based on another book. Last week we had I think that program last week was really interesting, and it was all about developing your right brain. This one is somewhat similar, but it's about setting goals and reaching goals. And it comes from another book which is called 59 Seconds. The subtitle is Change Your Life in Under a Minute, and it's by Richard Wiseman. All right, so here's the deal. We are all very busy. And things are coming out strangely. We are very stressed. And we are all time challenged. Nobody has any time. And so reaching goals is somewhat difficult and challenging. The suggestions in this book are not... it's not like a self-help thing where a little bit of it is quasi quackery. It is all based on science. It is all based on different kinds of research projects, and from these various research projects. So the way the book is organized, it'll say, okay, here's what we're working on. We're working on our persuasive skills. We're working on our relationships. We're working on different things, and it'll say, here are the various studies, the various research projects that have delved into this topic. Here's what they discovered. And then at the end of each chapter, it says, and to synthesize this, here are some things you can do in less than a minute. Based on the research, here are the things you can do to reach those goals. And so for that reason, it's kind of fun. I just selected a few different pieces. One of them was, the objective was happiness. And it said, how can you, especially those of us who tend to get depressed, we're a little bit on the south side of the happiness rank, and stress, of course, and unemployment, all of those things can make us not feel happy, and then that comes across in an interview. It's hard to fake that. So are there things you can do, steps you can take that are easy, that are simple, that won't stress you out too much, that can help you feel better about yourself? And by the way, during unemployment, when you have situational depression, I am a total believer and advocate of pharmaceuticals. Just a little bit of elevation, just enough to get you out of bed every morning, and then you can work on some of the other stuff. But how do you make yourself happy? So it gave you, okay, a little exercise that you can do every single day. And it said Monday, and the writing piece was important. The research showed that when you just talked about things, it was not an effective behavior changer. When you write things down, it had a much more positive impact. And so a lot of these little exercises, a lot of these things that they tell you to do involve writing, journaling, write things down. Monday, write down 3 things for which you are grateful. And have an attitude of gratitude. In spite of the fact that most of you are not employed, or you're not employed where you want to be employed, you're way ahead of the person that needs the blood donations. You're way ahead of the person that had the cancer come back after losing a leg. I mean, everybody has so much to be grateful for. And so having that attitude automatically will have an impact on your brain and an impact on your overall health. So write down every day 3 things for which you are grateful. Tuesday, write down 1 great experience when you were ecstatically happy. Whatever that was. Think back to what that was. Describe it. Doesn't have to be a whole essay. Just jot down some things, but you're taking yourself mentally back to a time when you were very, very happy. Wednesday, write a description of your wonderful future life. Think about it a little bit. Doesn't have to be far in the future, but think about what would be the perfect life. What do you hope to have as your life by the end of this year? Where will you be working? Where will you be living? What will you be doing? What people will be in your life? What are the things you're going to be doing for fun? But write that down as a somewhat detailed description. So less than a minute, Write down your future. Thursday, write a short note of appreciation. And it doesn't have to be actually a note that you give to them, although it could be. But write down somebody who impacted your life. What did they do? And just write it down. Somebody that had a positive influence on your life. So you're training your mind to think positively, not to think negatively. You're filling your mind with a lot of different positive thoughts. And Friday, review the last 7 days and write down 3 things that went well, with 1 sentence about why each thing went well. I have a little job club as well as this job club. The little job club is really small. And originally when we started the little job club, there was one of the 2 most negative people that I've ever known used to come to that job club. And she kind of was a toxic presence there. She did nothing but complain. She was a whiner. You try to have everybody feeling better by the time they leave your meeting, and everybody was just like suicidal by the time they left. Yeah, and I'm like talking everything up, and she's bringing everybody down. And so we started a tradition where we start every meeting by we go around the room and everybody says, here's who I am, here's the job I'm looking for, and here's something good that happened in the last 7 days. And the first time we did that with her, she said, my cat brought me a gift. She could not make her mind kind of turn to the positive. There's always a dark side. Okay. So all of these little exercises are trying to help you just remove as much negativity as you can. Some people have no problem with that. They seem to be naturally upbeat and positive. In fact, I had a client, a Launchpad person, who had been, what was she? She had made a ton of money, very high stress position where she was, I can't remember, she worked in the financial industry. She was a senior project manager with some kind of huge financial systems. I don't know. She was very, very successful in her job, but it was so stressful that it caused her to have all kinds of physical problems. And then she was dealing with all of those, and she didn't have any money, and she didn't have insurance, and she ended up living in the homeless shelter. She was homeless. And she said, she came back and she told me how great that was. She said, I had no idea that there were these kinds of services. And she said, it's great. I don't have to worry about anything. I've got food. I've got 3 meals a day. I've got a place to sleep. And she said, this is fabulous. I have no worries. I have no bills to pay. She said, I have no worries. I get free dental. I love this. I have a MAP card. This is great. She's probably institutionalized by now, but the point is, she was one of those people that always saw the good. Okay. And the point is, I've decided to be happy because it's good for my health. This is a quote from, of all people, Voltaire. And I have only gone through, I've been very fortunate in my life, I've only gone through one time when I was really like emotionally devastated. And people would come and say, you can't, that old thing, you can't choose what happens to you, but you can choose how you're going to react to what happens to you. And I just want to kill somebody when they tell me that, because I would say, in my mind, I was on the outside, I would say, yes, you're right, I know. And on the inside, I would think, you think I'm choosing to be like this? You think this is my choice? But if you can figure out ways to force yourself to look on the good side, to see the positive things, it has an absolutely immediate impact on your health. Depression can make you sick. Happiness can help you stay healthy. So think about it in those terms. The objective. They have acing a job interview in the chapter on persuasion. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how do you persuade people to see things from your point of view. How do you persuade people to come around to your way of thinking? But they have an entire category in here about persuading somebody to hire you. And so it's in that category. And I'm not sure that I agree with all of the things that it recommends, but all of the things they recommend are based on research studies where they've shown with focus groups that this approach works better than that approach. And so my stinking opinion probably doesn't matter so much. The primary reason that many people get hired over other people is likability. Very often companies will say, you know, I look for attitude, I hire for attitude, I train for skills. I want somebody that I want to work with. Very often, and all of you know this, the best qualified person is frequently not the one who gets the job, it's the person they want to work with. And all other things, if all other things are equal, if you've got 5 candidates and they can all do the job, their skills are similar, their qualifications are similar, what makes them want to hire one person over another? And a huge chunk of it is likability. Do you want to work with this person or do you not? And I teach an interviewing class on Wednesday. We talk about that a lot. We have a lot of stories about that, how the likability factor has gotten some people hired and lost the job for other people. How do you get more likable? You got to smile. If you're not naturally a smiler, you have to figure out ways to be a little bit more positive. Smile during the interview. Make good eye contact. Connect with people. Connect with people. Now, last week we talked about the fake smile. How can you tell when somebody's giving you the fake smile? The eyes. It's all about the eyes. They said when you're given a fake smile, like, okay, say cheese. I'm going to take your picture. Everybody say cheese. That's the fake smile. I can almost guarantee you that's going to be the fake smile. And the only muscles that are involved in the fake smile are the muscles right here that make your mouth go. Fake smile, right here. Okay. All right. The smile, the part of your face that indicates the genuine smile, are the muscles around your eyes. Your eyes get smaller. There's these little crinkly things that happen. That's the real smile. That's the real smile. So anyway, in an interview, you want to be likable. You're not going to smile like a Cheshire cat throughout the whole thing, but you have to be having fun. An interview is supposed to be fun, right? Okay, so smile, good eye contact throughout. Be interested in this job. Ask questions to show that you're interested. It's not just a one-way street. Try to ask questions, be interested, study what's going on with the company, ask questions about that. So show that you really, really, really want this job, not through desperation, but because you're so interested in what's going on with this company. One of the things that it suggested that you do in an interview, this was the part that makes me nervous. They said if you have a problem, if you have a weakness, if you have I don't know, you have you don't have one of the skills or whatever, it says reveal it early in the interview. Reveal it early, fess up, maybe tell what you're doing to come up to speed on it. But if you admit it early in the interview, you come across as much more genuine, much more likable than if you wait and reveal it at the end of the interview when you're like forced to do it. And we see this all the time in politics, don't we? If you've got you've been, you inhaled, you had a fling or something like that, they say, come out, make a clean sweep of it, fess up before they catch you, before it comes out, against your will. So at any rate, they said that studies had shown that when somebody in an interview reveals something, see, I always tell people, don't bring up anything negative unless they ask you, and then be totally honest about it and say, here's what I did, here's what it cost me, here's what it taught me, I'm not that person anymore, whatever. But you don't bring up a negative. But they said go ahead and do it. And that studies reveal that when you do it earlier, it's less damaging. People forgive it, they forget. When you do it at the end of the interview, that's all they remember. And that does make sense. Be modest. We did a mock interview with somebody. I don't think she's here today, so I can tell you this. We did a we did a mock interview with a girl yesterday, and one of the things that she said in the course of her answering was, she said, Um, I was something like, I was amazingly good at that, or I was amazingly successful in that. And it was like, I didn't like it. She was bragging too much, you know. Don't tell us that. Don't brag. Be modest. And modesty always, humility always is better received. So just be modest throughout. Be positive even after blunders. Sometimes you think you've made a huge mistake, and it becomes this enormous barrier in your mind's eye. But lots of times they didn't even catch it, or if they caught it, it wasn't a big deal, or if it was a big deal, they forgot about it. And so don't worry about it. Stay positive, stay upbeat, and I'll give you a great example of that. Some of you know a job club member. She's been working for a long time. Mary knows her because she used to be on our board of directors. Her name is Vicki Pilsner. And Vicki Pilsner mock interviewed. She was unemployed a very, very long time. She's an IT person. And she was unemployed a very long time. She mock interviewed 3 times that I can remember for different jobs. And one of the things that always impressed me so much about Vicki was she did an incredible amount of research with companies before she interviewed. One time she mock interviewed for a job with a law firm, and during the mock interview she said, oh yes, I looked you up on the so-and-so register, and I know you were ranked 4th in litigation and you were ranked 6th in whatever, and I thought, wow, I didn't even know there were places like that to look that kind of data up. But she was so good at that research, and she had a particularly challenging week. She was supposed to take the test to be a supervisor for the census. So you know when this happened, 2010. 2010. She had to fill out the federal application, which is just a booger, way worse than the state, and she had 3 interviews scheduled the same week. And so there was no way that she was going to be able to do her normal extensive preparation for all 3 of those interviews. So she decided to concentrate on the one job interview that she thought she had the best chance of getting that job, and the other 2 she thought, you know, I've interviewed so much, I'm just going to wing it. Surely I can fake those. And the first one was with the Texas A&M Health Science Center, the new medical school in Round Rock. And the very first question they asked her was, what do you know about us? And she said, normally that is my very favorite interview question, because I do so much research about companies that I generally know a great deal about them. But this week I just didn't have time to do it. I don't know a lot about you at all. I mean, I know you're Texas A&M. I know you're headquartered in Bryan College Station. I know you got the jump on UT and got your medical school going first. But that's all I know. And she sensed that they were very disappointed with that answer. And so she thought, okay, you know, you can tell, right, when your interview has suddenly gone south. I tell people that looking for a job is like looking for a spouse, and if you agree with that, then the interview is like the first date, right? You met them online, you learned a little bit about them from their love profile, the job description, you had a phone screen, okay, and now you're having the first face-to-face interaction. You've got the first job interview, you've got the first date. And in both situations, you are hoping for the best. You really want this to be the one. But at the same time, you are on the alert for red flags. You are on the alert for the indications, no matter how subtle, that this is not the place for you, or this is not the person for you. And sometimes a date will go that way, where it's going great, you're having such a good time, and all of a sudden you say something like, well, I love opera, but I hate football. And it's like, oh man, I forgot, I've got a place I've got to be, I got to take you home. And it's just, you know, that's the end of it. That would not work with Chris, because he's an opera singer, so there you go. So anyway, back to Vicki. So she decided at that point that she had blown that interview. And she made a little decision. She thought, I could just say, look, I don't want to waste your time. I can tell that this isn't going well. I'm going to, no, she didn't do that. She decided, I'm going to use this as practice. I'm going to just be myself. I'm going to have fun. I'm just going to relax. I'm going to answer honestly. To heck with it. I'm not going to worry about what is the question behind the question. I'm just going to do it. And at one point, they asked her, they said, give me 5 adjectives that describe you in the workplace. And since she didn't care, she gave sort of a Sarah Palin answer. She said, well, I'm not going to give you 5 adjectives. I'm only going to give you 1 adjective. I'm fun. I'm probably the most fun IT person that you've ever interviewed. I love technology. I have a great time with technology. I try to help everybody that I work with have fun with it as well. And bottom line is she got that job. She got the job for which she was not prepared, for which she felt she had really blown it. But just move on and just have fun and be yourself and relax. And the likability factor can sometimes take over all kinds of other aspects of it as well. Persuasion. And I'm not going to talk to you a lot about persuasion, but a lot of it was, you know, connecting and seeing what you have in common. But I loved this because it said one of the things to throw in to a persuasion argument is my pet frog, and say, okay, I tell you what, I'll pay you this much and I'll throw in my pet frog. And it's like, it's funny and it's disarming, and lots of people say, okay, it's done, fine, you know. And it's like, it's closure. The pet frog is closure. So feel free to use that if you would like. The objective, motivation. How do we stay motivated? How do we stay motivated in a job search? How do we stay motivated when you have to do something you don't want to do? I heard an interview yesterday, some of you may have heard it too, it was with the director of the movie Selma. And part of what she had to do was rewrite Martin Luther King's speeches for the movie, because I had heard that that the family would not let people use those speeches, but she said that wasn't the case. There's another movie creator, another producer or director or whatever, who has the rights to MLK's speeches. So she couldn't use the speeches verbatim. She had to rewrite his speeches. And she said, and they said, so how did you do that? And she said, with great trepidation and reluctance. And she said, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. She said, I'd sit down there and try to do it, and I'd fall asleep. I'd go eat something. I gained weight. I couldn't. I was avoidance. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to get started. And then here's what I finally did to do it. And so getting started on big projects or things that we don't want to do. Write down the goal, and then break the goal into small steps. That's always what you have to do with a big project, of course. And then no more than 5 small steps. And then you write down, here's my sub-goal. So here's going to be my first step. And write down what that is. And then say, I'm confident that I can do this because, fill in the blank. What's that going to be? And to achieve this goal, I will do these things by this date, and my reward will be this. And so you split it up and you put it in all of those different categories. That shouldn't take even a minute, and then you go to your next sub-goal. The next step after that, I will do this. I'm confident I can do this because of this. My first action that I will take in order to achieve this is this. I will do it by this date, and this will be my reward. So if you wanted to lay those all out, you could do that. If you wanted to do one at a time, and as you're enjoying your reward for step 1, then you can sort of make up your plan for step 2. But in each case, you have a deadline, you have a reward, you have an action item. And then in terms of the big project, list 3 positive benefits that will happen as a result of reaching that goal. How am I going to benefit from this? What's going to be good that I can look forward to as a result of reaching this goal? And then go public. When this is a big deal to you, this is a goal that you really want to reach, share it with, if it's a job search, you're going to go public with your SWAT team, your network, your job search network, your SWAT team, and say, this is what I'm going to do. I want you to be, I want to be accountable to you. I want to be responsible to you. I've set this up and I'm going public with it. If you have a blog, put it in your blog. This is what I'm doing. If you are trying to lose weight, you tell your family and friends, this is my goal. This is what I'm working on. I want all of you to know that. Keep me accountable to this. And once you say it in front of other people, it becomes real. It's not just hypothetical. By the way, visualization was another category, and it said, and there's been a lot of publicity about this in terms of raising your children. It says when you visualize something, sometimes it'll say, visualize success. Visualize you getting that job and say, I claim this job, I'm going to be working here. Don't visualize the outcome. Visualize the process. Visualize answering every question correctly. Visualize studying for the exam. Don't visualize being an A student. Visualize studying. Visualize the action you're going to take in order to make that happen. Visualize training. Some of you have heard of that famous study that they did with basketball, where they had one group that shot free throws and one group that went in a room and visualized shooting free throws. And after whatever length of time, the two groups went out, and the visualizers performed better than the folks who had practiced. All they saw was success. Whereas the practicers, they saw failure. They saw some that didn't get in. So anyway, visualize the process rather than the outcome. One of the things that there's been one of the books that was the most transformative book of the last 10 years, and there have been lots and lots of radio shows about it, is about, with children, don't praise the outcome. Don't always automatically say good job. Praise the effort. Praise the effort. And that's how they teach kids in Japan and in some of the other countries where they have a very strong success rate academically, is that they'll allow children to struggle, to work it out, try something else, go back and try it again. And they'll wait as long as it takes for that struggle to happen, for them to work it out successfully, and then everyone shares in the success. But you emphasize the struggle, the process, rather than getting it right automatically. And that it's better for kids to do that. So I love the way that you tried so hard to make that happen. That's a very good thing. And then would you pass these out? At the very end of this book, they gave, thank you. At the very end of this book, they said, here are our top 10 less than a minute actions that we encourage you to take for different things. One of them, and if any of you want an explication of any of these, I didn't have time to type all of that out, but there's like 5 or 6 lines underneath each one that amplifies this and kind of explains it a little bit more. So the attitude of gratitude, I think everybody's clear on that. Be a giver. Don't worry so much about what you can get from other people. Constantly be seeing what you can do to help other people. And that whole attitude change will help you in so many different ways. And get you more in return. Hang a mirror in your kitchen. I love that one. And this is for if you want to lose weight. This is for if you want to eat more nutritionally. But they said, and I don't know if any of you have ever watched people eat when they're all by themselves. It's horrific. You know? You put a mirror there and it's like, oh. So if you need to, I've never had anybody say put a mirror in, but I'm sure that it works. I have no doubt. So hang a mirror in your kitchen. Short thing you can do that'll have enormous results. Buy a potted plant and take care of it. That can help in a lot of ways. One of the things that it said was just what we all know about having plants in your world. Adding plants to an office results in a 15% boost in the number of creative ideas reported by male employees and helps female counterparts to produce more original solutions to problems. Go figure. The plants help reduce stress. They induce good moods, which in turn promote creativity. In some people, having a plant that you have to take care of also just promotes responsibility. We just put my stepfather in a assisted living facility, and talk about feeling as though you have no control over anything when you're in a place like that. And my little sister brought him a plant, and she said, I think you need a little bit of responsibility. I'm going to be checking on this plant. We'll see how that goes. All right. This was a crazy one. It said, touch people lightly on the upper arm. You can certainly do it in less than a minute. Lightly touching someone on their upper arm makes them far more likely to agree to a request because the touch is unconsciously perceived as a sign of high status. Some of you younger people will be interested in this. Let me come over to where you all are. By the way, you may be happy to learn that we are creating a campus branch of Launchpad Job Club. And so we're going to be going after a whole bunch of you folks. In one dating study, the touch produced a 20% increase in the number of people who accepted an invitation to dance in a nightclub and a 10% increase in those who would give their telephone number to a stranger on the street.
So pick up line?
They do the studies of the most crazy things. Okay. Write about your relationships. Sometimes I think this is useful whether your relationship is in good shape and you just write down things that you like about somebody. And if your relationship is in bad shape, I think that's also helpful. The most, oops, that's not it, there it is. Partners who spend a few moments each week committing their deepest thoughts and feelings about their relationship to paper boost the chances that they will stick together by more than 20%. Such expressive writing results in partners using more positive language when they speak to each other, leading to a healthier and happier relationship. You know, upon your death, they will see that, and it's like, wow. But it's really just for you. It's for your own personal growth in different areas, and for you to work on things that make you a more positive person. Deal with potential liars by closing your eyes. That's because, according to this, they say, due to their studies, that liars tend to use more self-references, me, mine, I. They're more self-centered. But also, of course, ask them to put it in writing. Could you send me that in email? And they're much less likely to want to write something down and have it be a permanent record. So anyway, there's that. Praise children's efforts over their ability. We talked about that. Visualize yourself doing, not achieving. We talked about that. And the last one is consider your legacy. And I think this is interesting. Asking people to spend just a minute imagining a close friend standing up at their funeral and reflecting on their personal and professional legacy helps them to identify their long-term goals and assess the degree to which they are progressing toward making those goals a reality. How do you want to be remembered? What is it that you want people to think about you, to say about you? What do you want to be your legacy? Is it the work that you've done? Is it your career? Is it your relationships? Is it people that you've helped? Is it things you've created? What do you want to be, how do you want to be remembered? And then once you've identified that, it's like, whoa, what can I do to make sure that that's going to happen? It's the Scrooge story. How do you want people to remember you? So anyway, it's an interesting thing to see what the studies have been. Some of them are obscure, some of them are stupid. How could you possibly incorporate them into your own life? But the thing is, it's just a minute. It's just a minute. Try it out. See it. Check it. See if it makes a difference.